When I tell you I've been looking for any excuse to talk about this dude, I mean it was really any excuse. This was originally a video that was supposed to be Atlantis themed, right? About the theory of Atlantis and how that's a whole thing of its own. And then I couldn't have talked about Atlantis without talking about, what's his name? I can't even remember what his name is. Graham Hancock, that dude. Because you can't talk about one without the other. But then I started talking about Heinrich Himmler, that guy, which is what this video is about. So if you're wondering what I'm going on and on about, that's what I'm going on and on about. Which, dude, let me tell you, that guy. So what's up? What's this all about, Heinrich Himmler? Well, Heinrich Himmler was super influential during World War II. I mean, just a couple of his feats. He was a high-ranking officer in the SS, which is like the basically the secret service of the Nazis. He oversaw the German secret police, or the Gestapo. I think if you had watched, I think it's Boy in the Striped Pajamas, I think you kind of see what the Gestapo was. But they were basically responsible for overseeing and crushing any kind of political resistance, which really tells you what kind of guy this guy was. He didn't like opinions that differed from his, which, you know, he also didn't like people who were different from him, because he had a lot of racial ideologies to go off of. Himmler was super dedicated to the Nazis' ideal of the Aryan race, blonde hair, blue eyes. He was also a big supporter of eugenics. He also played a huge role in the racial superiority laws that were going on around in Germany, you know? Oh, terrible. And even near the end of the war, after Hitler's death, he became the de facto leader of the, oh, my fish. He became the de facto leader of the Nazi Party until his capture and eventual suicide in 1943. Now, as insane as the Nazis were, Himmler was something special, let me tell you. Because, you know, like I said, the Nazis were delusional, but this guy was delulu. For the most part, archaeologists that were in Nazi Germany or were part of the Nazi Party were employed by the Nazis. They were what was considered Mietlaufer, or fence sitters, basically people who didn't want to lose their jobs over fighting over the you know, their beliefs and disgust against the Nazi regime. So instead, they were either forced into retirement or they went into an early retirement of their own free fruition. But don't get me wrong, there were a lot of like genuine, true believers that were bouncing around there. You know, people who were just too happy to take Nazi money and keep their mouths shut. Which brings me into the Ahnenbürger and their practice in pseudoscience. Now, the Ahnenbürger were a research organization put together by Heinrich Himmler I think in 1935. I'm not 100% on that one. The Ahnenbürger means, like a literal translation, means ancestral heritage. Ahnen meaning ancestral, Bürger meaning heritage. Now, of course, it's been a while since I brushed up on my German, but I could be saying that completely wrong. Who cares? But this is also a pretty good time to say they had style, man. Like, they had rings and insignias and like clothes. Dude, they knew how to dress. The Annenberg, of course, believed in Aryan superiority, but they didn't just believe in Aryan superiority. This is where it gets weird, right? They believed in a single alien Aryan master race. That means they believed that all humans, or at least white people who had blonde hair, blue eyes, came from a super specific alien race that looked like them, tall, blonde hair, blue eyes, and then, you know, gave all of the you know, the Browns, you know, the Aztecs, the Mayans, the Egyptians, the Mesopotamians, the Arabics, everyone who has had amazing feats in architecture, agriculture, art. There's no way they could have done that themselves. It had to have been provided by aliens, and that's basically where this idea comes from. Because the Annenbergs were investigating in the research and the origins of the Aryan race, which led to the study of ancient texts and the exhibition of archaeological sites and a huge search into folklore. And yes, while the Nazis did look for things to prove their ideas correct, basically trying to prove their own superiority complex, they also preserved and cataloged a lot of things. As long as it was Eastern European, if it was anything else like Tibet, then they would destroy it. Which, funny enough, led them to the search for Thor's hammer, the Fountain of Youth, Garden of Eden. They weren't beyond believing in the mythical and the esoteric. They believe deeply in these things because, what else is going to validate their points here? Their interest extended to ancient alphabets that they hoped would lead to the secrets of where these ancient Aryan race had gone, or even just the existence of them, which is weird because they found nothing on it, but Himmler still thoroughly believed in it. They also believed in divination. If you don't know what that is, divination is the process of doing things like reading tarot cards, which is a practice that would have died out completely in the 1930s if it wasn't for the Nazis. So if your girlfriend really likes to read tarot cards, she's a Nazi. They were also prominent believers in astrology, more specifically, the celestial bodies influencing the human body and behavior. So if your girlfriend is someone who is into astrology and signs, she is a Nazi. And speaking of things that would have died, the Vril Society is another one. While not fully associated with the Nazis in Germany, it embraced a lot of the same beliefs, as well as harnessing Vril energy for supernatural powers. The Vril Society were basically believers in the master race and its energy form called the Vril energy, which is information pulled from a book that was published in 1871 of an author of unsure origins. No one really, as far as I know, no one really knows who the author really is. But it basically recounts the story of a man who was on an expedition, fell, broke his leg, and found a race of people in the center of the earth who were, tall, blonde, and resembled angels. So I'm sure you could see where Himmler got a lot of his beliefs in. Also have their beliefs, at least partially, had their beliefs in a flat Earth, and they might not have had their beliefs in these things, but the theories that spewed produced theories like this later on. And I'll go ahead and go into that in a little bit because it's actually kind of insane. Because Nazi ideology, Nazi beliefs can actually be tracked all the way back to flat Earth, which is insane. Whew, we are really digging in here, man. And of course, the flat Earth has its ancient beliefs in the geocentric universe, which is the idea that the universe is all surrounded around the Earth. That means the sun, all the planets, the stars, just the universe surrounds around the Earth, which of course is completely baseless and, flawed. And we know that it's flawed because it's based off of a flawed understanding of physics and astronomy. But we're not going to focus on that. We're focusing on the Annenberg, which, talking about the Annenberg and their work in the archaeological field, let's talk about some of their exhibitions. One of Himmler's most famous exhibitions that he had funded, performed, and watched over the search in Tibet to find where the Aryan race had led to, like where they had gone. And it was actually led by a famed German explorer, Ernest Schaeffer. And those explorations actually led later to our current understanding of Tibetan culture, which is why I was saying that, Nazis, as weird as they were, they actually did contribute a lot to our current understanding of archaeology and history, which, giving any kind of Nazi credit, is like completely against what look. If anyone hates the Nazis more than me, it's Indiana Jones, okay? You know what? We take what we can get, and if they're the ones preserving it and giving us what we can learn today, then I'll fucking take it. But of course, after finding nothing in Tibet, par for the course for the Nazis, they just kind of destroyed whatever wasn't of use to them. And this was also almost in all of the exhibitions of the Annenberg, all the way from Egypt to the one I'm going to talk about just now, even to the Mayans and Aztec cultures, because like I said, if you have darker skin than them, there's no way you could have made any kind of amazing architectural feats. You know, you had to have had help from aliens. And now, of course, the Nazis based this idea before they even had any proof to go off of it. They just kind of ran off with the idea that, you know what, not these Browns kind of did it, and it's in this book, so it's got to be true. Which means they looked at all of these beautiful creations and said, how do we center this around white people, the white blonde Germans? How do we center this around it? You could actually find this kind of ideology in Ancient Aliens, the show, the TV show. You have to deny all of the wonders of the worlds because there's no way that Ancient Aliens couldn't have contributed to all of those, right? And again, this belief was heavily based in the disbelief that anybody other than the Aryans could have had a hand in any of these beautiful creations, or that any of these people had any kind of knowledge in math. Sorry about the harsh cut there. I ran out of storage on my SD card. I had to delete some stuff, and now we're back. What was I talking about? Oh, yeah. But basically, they ignored some really, really tough questions that they obviously couldn't answer, like, where did the aliens go? Which leads us into my favorite exhibition of theirs, Antarctica. Dude, holy shit. You ever hear about the ice wall? You know, flat earthers talk about the ice wall? This is where that comes from. Like, if you've ever been to any kind of flat earth convention or have seen videos on it, and they're always talking about, like, oh, the Zionist Jews, that's why. Because this is all based in Nazi theory, which is insane. There was an expedition funded to go to Antarctica to search for where these ancient Aryans might have gone to. The team that went discovered a underground tunnel system in Antarctica, which is insanely cool because it implies that Antarctica wasn't always just some icy continent. But Himmler didn't give a fuck. What he believed is that these tunnels must have been where the ancient Aryans had gone to. This is where they were. So this led him to believe that Antarctica was some sort of lost supercontinent, which was hidden away in the Arctic. He called it, I think it was Hyperborea. Absolutely insane, bro. And like I said, there were some connections that he tried to make, which none of them panned out. And for some reason, it carried on throughout history, mainly through like literature and stuff, like Indiana Jones movies, Indiana Jones books. There are like Journey to the Center of the Earth, but now those beliefs are carried through current history in stuff that's like but it's led even now in current history through theories or a hypothesis, really, because a theory means it has some sort of base on it, but a hypothesis that the Earth is flat. See what you guys do to me. And the one world government controls all of this stuff. And if you believe in that, like genuinely and truly, please, 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 I'm begging you, comment down below. Let me hear it, okay? Because I need to hear about any of this. Anyways, that's all I had to say about Heinrich Himmler and some of his stuff. I mean, it's not all I have to say about it, but honestly, we're getting really long in this video. I think we're 20 minutes, maybe without the cuts. Because let me tell you, I babbled a lot in this one. Next one will probably be on Graham Hancock or maybe Atlantis. I don't know. Or maybe if you have something else that you want me to talk about, we could go ahead and talk about that. Fuck it. I could talk about Flat Earth. Ooh, didn't think about that one. That one's pretty obvious. But, I mean, like, subscribe. Let me know what you thought. I've got things to do. I gotta edit this. See you in a bit.